Listen up. Today we're talking about buckets. Dear God. Show clear. Anyways, I have this totally nondescript energy drink right here. Check us out on Instagram, link in description. And I want to drink that after I'm done with this video. So let's get over with this. Why do you need a helmet, especially for airsoft? Well, getting shot hurts, and your skin on your head is quite thin. Imagine getting shot by 1.5 Joule BB at like 2 meters right on your, well, head. That's gonna hurt, right? So you're gonna want a bucket. Also, if you're gonna run around, or for example at the field where I play mostly, there are actually ladders, you run the risk of bumping your head into things, especially if you're 6'4" like me. That also hurts. And you might also want to carry comms equipment, a camera, lights. All of that creates the need of a helmet. And today we're going to discuss just that. Now I've been through a couple of helmets. I started with a cheap bump replica from Amazon that was poorly sized, poorly colored, and poor quality. However, at that time, it was enough. Soon then I wanted to upgrade and moved on to a FMA thick and heavy ballistic helmet. I think SF, yeah SF, not maritime, which I liked. You know, it looked cool. It was good for the LARP. And then I got the aesthetic itch of the airframe. Didn't like the airframe, I didn't like its suspension system. I also didn't like how the NVG shroud is angled, because if you install a camera on there, the angle creates a kind of box that is in your vision, which blocks you from looking through red dots, which is obviously not good. And as I said, the suspension is kind of at best. A lot of people like the Team Wendy suspension system. I don't cry about it. And then finally I said, okay, let's do a more airsoft focused or civilian focused helmet, because I don't need ballistics and I can't afford it, to be honest. So I went with a bump helmet, which is basically just a overhyped bicycle helmet with arc rails. And that's where I'm at right now. I have a FMA SF in multicam, and I'm pretty happy with it. If you know any other good brands or helmets that you liked, please let me know down below. But anyways, let's get right into the setup. So the first thing that you're probably wondering is, how does the multicam look on a FMA helmet? In my opinion, it looks pretty good. The shine isn't too bad compared to cheaper helmets. The multicam is pretty well colored, and it's also pretty well in terms of quality and how good the color actually sticks on the helmet. Another thing is the Velcro. The Velcro is really strong, and it also is glued on really well onto the helmet, so no complaints there. The helmet itself has held up a lot of damage over the years. I've ran into door frames, bumped my head on the ceiling, on the floor. I fell over, all of it. And it held up every time. I didn't get any injuries, and the helmet is still fine. The suspension system that comes with it is also nice. As I said, I like the FacePro suspension system, simply because it's really easy to tighten it or loosen up, and it doesn't wiggle around quite as much as the Team Wendy one. And I like a more structural, helmet suspension system, because that's what I'm used to from bicycle helmets and stuff like that, and also my skiing helmet. But I didn't like the original padding. A lot of people like that style of really soft padding. I don't. So I have more of a thick version that kind of looks like the Team Wendy, I think, that I bought off of Amazon. Affiliate link in description, for like 14 bucks. And that has been serving me quite well. However, I have been seeing kind of more ventilated helmet padding on AliExpress, and I'm really considering buying some because it only costs like 10 bucks. So maybe a video for the future. Another nice thing about the FMA helmet is that it does come with the original OPSCOR markings, so on the NVG shroud and the arc rails, which is pretty cool for the LARP. And it also has multicam written all over it, because that's usually what, the multicam, or what real multicam does. It's fucking warm in here. Spring is such a confusing time of the year, because what do you mean? It's 2 degrees Celsius in the morning and it's snowing, and then right now, like 5 hours afterwards, it's already sunny and 20 degrees outside. What the hell? Anyways, that's about it with the helmet in and of itself. If you have more questions, either leave them down in the comments, message me on Instagram, link in the description, or check out my Discord channel, where not only me, but about almost 400 people now can give you their opinion on certain types of gear really fast and really nice. Anyways, shameless plug over. Let's actually get into the setup. So the first thing I mentioned after, protecting your head is lights, I think, or cameras, but we're going to start with lights because that is more practical. On my helmet I have a Watson Surefire clone on a Repro Max mount on my left side. This is purely for white lighting, and that is either used to, blind my enemies or light up a room, because if you angle it upwards, you can create quite the bright. You might not be able to see it right now, but this gets really bright in dark rooms. But obviously, if you're an enemy, you're going to be blind by the time that I'm done with you. And on the front, I have I should probably say Repro 100 Concepts light cap for the Surefire, mainly to protect it from BB impacts because I don't want it to break, but also to avoid NDing white light in darker settings. And that's not that good, right? Moving on the backside, I have a Mantis strobe in blue from FMA. This is mainly just for looks. However, if I do decide to invest into night vision, if you sell night vision and you want to sponsor me and send me some over, I would be down. I would make videos. Just saying, I'm a shill. Anyways, it's mostly for looks, but it can function for signaling IFF. But most importantly, it just looks hecking cool. When you turn it on, it vibrates like a real thing to let you know, hey, I'm on. And it starts off in IR, but if you press these side buttons, it switches to blue LED, blinking and letting everybody know, hey, shoot, blowling. Blue blow. I'm so funny. On the right-hand side of my arc rail, I have my Princeton Tech replica, which sadly got its front cover shot off. So I have the lights and everything kind of duct taped together with electrical tape and some camo tape. Doesn't look that good, but it gets the job done, and I'm too cheap of a bastard to buy new stuff. So until that breaks, it stays on here. This has red and IR light. Red is pretty obvious. It's a low-vis light version for the white light to do administrative tasks, which is nice in darker scenarios, night games, whatever. And the IR function is purely just for the LARP right now, because I, again, do not have night vision as of now. But when I do have, this might also come in handy. But for now, it's just there because a single light Princeton Tech looks silly in my opinion. Now, filming stuff. As you can see, I have quite the elaborate helmet cam setup. I have a Akaso Brave 7 LE in the front. In its original case that I spray painted and drilled some holes into, one for the charging cable and two for the microphone. In the back, I left some, unspray painted part for, seeing the screen, because that's important when switching between modes, seeing how much battery life or storage you have left for the day. I have that on a cheap Amazon mount that costs like 10 bucks. Which has held up surprisingly well. Like, this thing is unkillable, which is really surprising because, again, costs like 10 bucks. Affiliate link in description. And I use the retention bungees from the helmet to give that a little bit more rigidity. And then the cable that I chose is a 90-degree cable on both sides. In the front, it's pretty obvious that you want a 90-degree facing upward angle, simply because that reduces the snagging hazard of trees or something hanging around to rip off either your cable or break your camera or something, or just, yank your head around. And in the back, in the battery pack, it's just there to take up less space because it's sitting slimmer to the actual battery pack. The battery bank in the back is a small one. I think it has around 10,000 milliampere hours. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. If I find it, it will be linked down in the description. And I have that in a Pew Tactical replica of the Shaw Concepts brain pouch. The Shaw Concepts brain pouch is pretty cool. And in my opinion, the entire Shaw Concepts brand is really cool. Their stuff is good, they're innovative, and they're also quite funny. Check them out on Instagram, they do cool posts over there. Again, if you have more questions about my camera setup, I have some videos linked down or up here, and also down in the video description, or just ask me. And let's continue with ear protection. Now, for regular airsoft, you might not need ear protection. You might just need something that covers your ears. There are also arc rail adapters that cover your ears. However, I do some more milsim stuff, and it also looks cool. So I have the FMA amps. I will do a separate video on the FMA amps. What I can tell you right now is for airsoft, they're fine. However, a buddy of mine uses them or used them for work before switching to Peltor Comtech 8s, I think. And he told me that they don't hold up quite that well to field conditions, and in cold temperature, their batteries die out quite quick. However, your experience is greatly appreciated. Leave them down in the comments so other people and me can see how well this product actually works. Of course, I already bought it, but I would still like to know how well it performs, but whatever, right? It's just about looks. Now, my comm setup isn't on my helmet. I will do another video on that, but up here, if you're interested, it's pretty simple. But yeah, for me, these have been working quite fine. Their spatial audio is way better than cheaper ones or earmuffs or whatever. And they also protect your hearing from loud bangs and stuff, so I will trust them with real clear shooting. Their arms are also quite well quality-wise. I have been hearing that actual ops core arms snap when you fall on them, and FMA ones don't, which I find quite funny. And as I said before, these have been holding up great for me. But what I will do is when I'm in CQB environments is flip these things up. So like this, because especially in CQB, it's important to hear exactly where your enemy is, and the best spatial audio is achieved with the absolutely apex predator hearing that humans have, at least compared to ear protection. But then, for example, when I'm done with a recce approach to an objective and I know it's about to get loud because we're about to use flashbangs or blank guns or whatever, I flip these down quickly and I have my hearing protected because I do not like a beeping in my ear every time I sleep and dream about things. Anyways, I won't go into more detail on the FMA amps because that's for another video. Let's move on to accoutrements. One thing that I have bought is the SOTR rebreather mask, or whatever it's called. This is mostly just for looks and at some point cosplaying a modernized RDA soldier from Avatar. Yes, it is an actual project and I will be filming the process of building that kit and letting you guys know how I did it. If you have any help on finding the camo that they use, please join the Discord server. I need your help. Anyways, that is just for looks, but can also be used if you remove the air filter for mouth protection in CQB environments. For other mouth protection, I just use a little net guard thing. This originally was one of those cheap little masks that cover your whole face that I bought for 10 bucks on Amazon, and then cut to size and glued on the little bungee part on the outside again to protect my face from these sharp corners. If you're interested on how that works, I will link a video up here if I find a good one. And then to hold that face net, I obviously use my balaclava. Affiliate link for that thing also down in the description. Great face mask, especially for the price. But what you can also do is, for example, use a mouth guard. However, you talk kind of retarded when you use them. However, I have heard of people that said if you get a proper mouth guard, you won't have that problem. For eye protection, I have two glasses. For indoor games, I use the iForce whatever glasses. I will leave a link to them up here for my review because these fog up way less, and because they are so fog resistant, you can push them all the way to your face and create a full seal whilst again not fogging up. But for outdoor games, when I'm not that much at risk of getting shots in at close distance from weird angles, I wear Swiss Eye Raptors because these enable me to use inserts because I'm somewhat blind. I have like minus 0.5 and minus 0.7 in terms of how bad my eyesight is. So it definitely helps with spotting camouflaged enemies in the forest at distance. But again, because they don't sit that flush to your face and also kind of fog up a little bit, I only use them on outdoor fields. I also have a helmet scrim, but I can't seem to find that right now. You just have to believe me on that. I will insert a picture somewhere here, which is just a cheap Amazon scrim that I combined with some leftover cloth from the cut sleeves of my combat shirts. But this only goes on outdoor games when the LARP factor is above 11. So yeah, that is about it with my helmet setup. It's nothing special, but I just thought that maybe this could help someone out. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, yada yada yada. Leave a like and please subscribe. And until we see each other next time, LARP.